Shalom, shalom, everybody. Ariel Bar Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com, bringing to you today's daily lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah. Today is lesson number 57. And of course, we are dedicating these lessons to the health, safety, well-being, and of course, prosperity of everybody around the world right now, facing the trials and tribulations that we are. And with the message, guys, focus. Focus on the opportunities concealed within every obstacle. Make a difference. Bring change. Remember what the Sefer Yetzirah is all about. It's not about magic, hocus pocus, or fantasy. It's about the reality of creating, using spiritual technologies, a construct that first begins by the power of mind, transformed by the power of passion, to literally imbue it into the astral body surrounding us, which will then lead to its materialization in the physical world in which we live. That, again, is why our book is called the Book of Yetzirah, Formation, and not the Book of Asiya, making, or actually doing. So, actually, this is introduction into what we need to discuss right now. In our previous class, I left you off with a little bit of a cliffhanger there with discussing the nature of the letter Aleph. So, we got to go back to the Aleph and learn again its practical usage. Go back, look at the previous lesson, and remember we left it on this note. What is the Aleph? The Aleph is the breath. But a breath, obviously, has both inhalation context and exhalation context. Okay, wow, what a surprise that is. Aleph. Where and how does the Aleph fit into this? Yeah, okay. Little silence there for you to contemplate that the Aleph is both. Aleph is a letter, which means that it has structure and form. It is part of the exhalation. But Aleph is the only letter in Hebrew that has absolutely no sound to it. How do you pronounce an Aleph? I will pronounce it now. That silence is the Aleph. It is not like the letter Ayin, which actually has like an NG, like at the end of going. That's an Ayin. So when we recite the Shema Yisrael prayer, we don't say Shama. Shama is over there, Shama. All right? We say Shemang. Shemang. We will learn more about the proper pronunciations and why that's important as we go on to other letters. But now we're learning about the letter Aleph. So Aleph, as you know, inhale, exhale. Remember the shape of the letter Aleph, okay? Now, I'm going to diagram this. I'm not going to make a sheet about this because this is not actually part of usage, just part of concept. We've already discussed the historical origins of the shapes of letters. Even though the Kabbalists want to say that the present form of Hebrew letters called Katav Ashurit, or Assyrian script, was the original form that Moses received at Mount Sinai, and they have cosmic significance. In all due respect to my esteemed and honored brethren of the Mikbalim, sorry guys, you don't have a historical leg to stand on in that respect. Even the Gemara mentions, Tanakama, that the original Hebrew was what we call today Paleo-Hebrew, the old Hebrew text. Rashi, the famous commentator on both Bible and Talmud, says that the actual original letters of the Hebrew were angelic script, kind of like in the Agla, Shviti that I have over my shoulder here. But be that as it may, we use the shape of letters as an inspiration, which is the construct of a vessel, which enables the power of thought to take a solidified form. That's all. So historically speaking, what were the letters on the original Luchot tablets of the Ten Commandments? I'll bet you they were more like what Rashi said, that they're angelic or extraterrestrial script, than any form of Hebrew, either ancient or modern. Good gosh. Remember how we understand Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah at Sinai. A, we do recognize it or believe it to be an historical event. As such, somehow, somewhere, something made contact with us. There is no way to refer to this in any other language other than to call it a close encounter with an extraterrestrial presence. You might not like that choice of terminology, don't matter, but that's what it is. Our midrash, our ancient teachings, oral teachings say that the original tablets that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai were not like the ones that came at the second time. They were completely different. There's all kinds of stories that say that the certain forms of Hebrew letters would be able to be seen through one end to the other. Now, again, this is symbolic language. When people try to understand the symbolic language literally, they misunderstand. They say, how can you have like a final mem, which can be seen on one end to the other? Because, it's like a square, has like that little center in it. How would it be in there? It would be like hovering, in midair kind of stuff. Okay, that's all a problem when you endeavor to interpret literally something that is symbolic. The original commandments was something literally out of this world. We don't know what they were. All right? We have hints of our sages who in their psychic abilities could travel through space and time through the power of mind and see things. Whether or not they or us can actually understand what it is that we grasp through such space-time astral travel, that's another story. But in order to try to help us do that, hey, this is what our Sefer Yetzirah is all about. Because if I see something in the astral consciousness, and for example, let's just say it is some advanced extraterrestrial, angelic, spiritual or otherwise technology, and I'm gazing at something, my construct of the mind that lives like right here and now, it can only receive impressions based upon what my present mind here and now can understand. So when Ezekiel saw his Merkavah, he describes that Merkavah within the historical, psychological, archetypal context of somebody living in Babylon, back in the 6th century before the Common Era. When you and I see the Merkavah today, we see it completely different based upon the cultural context of our environment and the nature of the archetypes of the individual psyche. So please keep this in mind when we deal with letters, because, like I said, perceiving the astral reality out there, all I might see is a bunch of garbled lights, weird sounds. But when my mind is properly trained, I can say, when I'm looking at this weird stuff, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I get a sense, not a reality, a sense that I'm looking at or communicating with or experiencing the letter Bet or Mem or Lamed or Aleph or Kaf. When I put all that together, it spells, without the Aleph there, Malach, Mem, Lamed, Aleph, Kaf. And then all of a sudden, something like that might start to crystallize in my mind. And then the communication can then start to take structure and form, creating what we know from the Bible as visions. Each of which, remember, like the Bible, the Torah itself says, is subjective to the mind of the individual. Look at the letter Aleph. All right, it's got that cross diagonal in Katav Ashurit, the Katav that we write today, cross diagonal, and a little line going up to the top, a little line going down to the bottom. Now, in modern Kabbalah, they look at that diagonal line as being the letter Vav. and the little ones going up on top and the little ones going down are both letters Yod. If you look at a letter Aleph as it is written in what we call Katav Stam. Stam is Sefer Torah, Tefillin, and Mezuzot. That's exactly how they write the letter. It's like a Vav with two Yods. Well, if you remember this, a letter Yod is numerical value 10. A Vav, numerical value is 6. So if I got two Yods, I got 10 and 10, 20, and the diagonal Vav is 6, 26. The letter Aleph itself represents the numerical value 26, which is the numerical value of the name Yud K Vav K. And remember, the name Yud K Vav K, the essential name of God, corresponds to the Sefirot Tiferet, that higher world, the world of the Sefirot itself. Remember, the 10 Sefirot, the diagram of the tree of life, is actually the, in quotes, symbolic body of Yud Ke Vav Ke. So when we talk about bringing these Sefirot, when we talk about bringing these Sefirot into the letters, we're talking about bringing the name Yud Ke Vav Ke into other names of God, whether they be Adonai or Elohim. And sometimes we can tap into the higher essence, which is the name Ehyeh, channel it down through Yud Ke Vav Ke, and then into the name Adonai. These three together form the 12-letter name of God, which we refer to by its numerical value of 112, which we write in Hebrew, not just Kuf Yud Bet, but actually Yud Bet Kuf, twisting around Sefer Yetzirah style, because that forms the name Yabok, which is actually a name of a river that's mentioned in the book of Genesis. So whenever we want to refer to the 12-letter name of God, we refer to it as the Yabok. Now, there's a very special power with the Yabok in the 12 letters that are permutated in 12 different ways. Over this shoulder, you'll see a black framed Shaviti over there. That's the secret of the Yabok. I will give that, of course, to our KosherTorah students. The original Hebrew form, I released that to the public. The explanations and the teachings and the usage thereof, that's for our students. If you're interested in being a student, hey, you know what to do. Check it out. But now let's go back to our Aleph. We got our diagonal line, 6, and our Yud, 10 and 10, 26. Remember I said we could look at everything as a symbol. The psychological word is an archetype. I can take that diagonal line and literally slice it down the middle and have a Vav above and a Vav below. So if I have a Vav above with a Yud, that's 6 and 10, 16. And then I have a Vav below with my letter Yud below. That's another 16. Little math there, 16, 16, 32. 32 wondrous paths of wisdom. That's the secret of the Aleph. Now, why am I slicing letters in half? Remember I said about breath? The Aleph is the perfect symbol of part which is revealed and part which is concealed. The revealed portion of the Aleph, that lower Vav with the lower Yud, that's my exhalation. But it requires, in order to be full, the higher half, which is concealed, the inhalation. Concealed, revealed. Now, as we know in the order of the Sefirot, Aleph is that line which goes between Hesed and Gevurah, all right, along the horizontal like that. Now you have to understand what its symbol, because this is what connects, if you will, right in the middle there, which is Tiferet. And Tiferet, we said, is the small face, the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. But when we refer to the small face, Yud Ke Vav Ke, Hashem, there is an evolution, because remember, the name Yud Ke Vav Ke corresponds to the 6 Sefirot called Zerampin. This is all discussed in Kabbalah courses. I have a link already. You'll see in the notes here to the order of what we call, I guess, spiritual evolution. This is Kitvei Ari, Otzrot Chaim stuff. This is all explained here. take the course, learn, because these archetypes, symbols, and images that you put into your mind then become the vessels through which the Balima Sefirot are able to materialize. So this 6 Sefirot, which we call the small face, Zerampin, if it's going to be a Sephirotic face, a partsuf, has to be complete 10, subjective 10. So where does it get its upper 3? That's what we call the Mohin, the power of the brains, the Keter, the Chokhmah, the Bina. We've talked about those in our previous classes. But now understand a very important teaching that Reb Chaim brings down in the Otzrot and other places. When you receive your Sephirotic brains, they don't just pop into your head. They actually come in stages. These stages, we refer to them as the Tselem, or we refer to them as the levels of Mohin, 3 grades, which are called Ibbur, Yinika, Gadlut. The pregnancy stage, the infancy stage, and the adult stage. Now, the infancy stage is still concealed in the womb of the mummy. So here, between Hesed, Gevurah, and Tiferet, the upper Sefirot of Keter Chokhmah Bina, or actually Chokhmah Bina Dot in this case, they start to permeate and penetrate into the Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, which is the dawning of consciousness in the emotions, in the higher self. It doesn't just boom, hit you like a lightning bolt. It begins slowly, like a child forming in the womb of its mother, that has the time where it is subjectively, seductively, selectively working its way in the hidden areas to grow, to develop, to mature. That's called the pregnancy state, the Ibbur state. These Mohin are then concealed. That is that upper part of the Aleph, the inhalation of which we say. That is its symbol. So whenever you want to experience the power and focus of anything, yes, breathe, of course, but recognize what the archetype of the breath is supposed to mean. That I'm taking into myself the concealed essence, projecting it out through the revealed form. Now, the initial revealed form, Aleph, again, how do I pronounce an Aleph? Correct, no sound. How then do I pronounce an Aleph? All right, what is the original or initial level of Mohin, brains, in a child? Firstborn, newborn. Well, I'm not going to have many intelligent conversations with the kid, but something's there, obviously, and it needs to grow. So this is what we need to understand. So this is symbolized by the application of the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, to the individual letters. So we take the Aleph, and we give it the A, I, O, U, and we apply that vowel to the Aleph 5 times. And then we merge and unite that letter Aleph, like it says here. We merge it, everyone with everyone else. This is giving it what we call its crown. This is making it rule, tzarafanze beze, mixing one with the other. And as we mix the Aleph with the Mem and the Shin, Aleph, 5 different vowels, Mem, 5 different vowels, Shin, different vowels. All the letters, we have complete combinations and permutations of arrangements and orders of vowels, just like we have combinations and permutations of letters. That is how we must understand the process, the technique, the practice of what we're doing. Now, with all of this sound technique, and of course, there's the prophetic position, there is the way of breathing, the sound chanting. What is this all about? Well, remember, this is to help focus the power of mind, which brings down those ethereal, that hidden part of the Aleph, the Mohin of Ibbur, into the state of Yenika, birthing. And then we work to make them materialize, Gadlut, adulthood we call it. But we're dealing with the world of form, Yetzirah. This, what we do, creates the astral reality, the tulpa that comes before the golem. And that's the secret of how this is to be done. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, again, I see I've ran out of time, but we'll pick up on this. We'll talk more about the male and the female elements again and get into the other letters in our next class. Ariel Bar Tzadok here, Kosher Torah School, KosherTorah.com. Check out the courses we have online for you right now, waiting. Talk to you all soon. Shalom.